series of sessions in conjunction with the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction. And of the 60 or so sessions that the Friday Institute is offering, we decided that we need to do at least one for educators to focus on the stress that we are all feeling right now and some ways to better manage it. So you will see across the bottom of the screen that I do have the closed captionings on to make this session as accessible as possible. And that is a feature for Google. So if you see when my Google bar shows up, I just press the captions and that's how they appear. They're not perfect, but they do help. As Cindy alluded, it does help certain people who may need the closed captioning. I'm sorry for those participants who find it distracting. There's no way that you can turn them off. It's something that I control to try to make the session as accessible as possible. So welcome everyone from across North Carolina. I saw some people joining us from Wake County, which is where Nancy and I are, a lot of Rocky Mount, Nash County, Elkin. So welcome to everyone across North Carolina. And if you're joining and you're not from North Carolina, I missed it in the chat, we welcome you as well. Or if you're not in the United States, we welcome you as well. We have some Australians, Spain in one of our webinars. So Nancy and I work for the Friday Institute, and that is on North Carolina State University's campus. We are in a pretty unique division that does a lot of professional learning with schools, districts across North Carolina and a few other states, including Tennessee. So we do a lot of this, and we are learning and growing together as our world becomes more and more remote, and we're using Zoom multiple times in a day. So welcome you all. Here we are here. I'm Trisha, that is Nancy. We do, this is our second time doing this session together. Our next session will focus on students and the stress that they are feeling and trying to support them in that. But like I said earlier, we're just gonna do the next 55 minutes just for you as educators. Couple of brief announcements. Yes, our slides will be available, but of course we're gonna make you wait to the end before we give access to the slides. And then the second thing is that what you will need throughout this session is maybe a pencil, piece of paper, something to write with, because we do have at least one test for you to do. So you will need something to write with, or you can use your phone. Your phone is just fine as well for you to take down some things from this test that we're about to give you. Right. So if you haven't used Zoom multiple times a day, like Nancy and I, just some Zoom basics. The bottom left, since we have about 230 almost on here, your mics will be muted. In the end, we'll ask if someone's having some troubleshooting problems getting to the evaluation, you can unmute it. But right now, just keep your mics muted. The video screen, you can drag it and move it along. I have mine at the top. You can move it to the side. You can minimize it if it's too distracting at all. And we will use the chat feature throughout. You will see, this is gonna sound weird right now, but it'll all come together in about 2 minutes. You'll see a chicken that'll appear on the screen, and that chicken will let you know who's going to participate in the chat. Again, that sounds crazy right now, but there'll be a chicken, and that just follow along with the chicken. So our goals for this session is really to look at how our brain reacts to stress. Some of these reactions that we have, maybe we don't want to really acknowledge them. Maybe we're feeling them already. And looking at different brain-based strategies that we can use for ourselves to manage that stress. Again, the focus is on you, not your students, not your spouse, not your children, not your pets, just you. Even though what you're learning today, you still might be thinking, okay, I can apply this in other places. And we really want you to take the next little bit of time to reflect and try to commit to a positive behavioral change for yourself. Because who knows how much longer we will be in this state. So we've got to gain some new adoption strategies that are helping us. I know my coping mechanisms aren't the best, and I need to adopt some ones that are a little bit better. So let's take a test. Everyone has a writing utensil and something to write down, or you can use your electronic device, your iPad, tablet, or smartphone you could write with. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to get all your supplies together. This is a 2-part test. All right, so part 1 of this test. 5 questions on part 1. Question number 1, I did it again somehow. All right, that's question 1. Question 2. Sorry, I'm in this animation thing and I don't know how to get out of it. There we go. Question 2. Name one muscle or bone in your body, upper body. Question 3. I can hardly say it. I don't want to not go outside. Whew, what's wrong with that sentence? Number 4 is a little bit of math. It's okay to skip questions if you're not quite sure. And number 5, I just want you to select one of the following: the first concert you attended, where you were when 9/11 occurred, or describe your favorite teacher or best school experience. I'll give you a couple of seconds to think and write your response to number 5. All right, part 2. Looks like you're ready. I want whatever hand you're taking to write that response, or your prior responses, just switch it to your other one and just write your name. Write your name with your non-dominant hand. You have 10 seconds. Nancy's going to give you her finger countdown. She got 10 seconds to say the alphabet backwards. Stay muted and go. Say it backwards. Stay muted. All right, time's up. Hopefully Karen's a video that I can see. Karen Davis, she almost made it, almost. All right, so stay muted, even though we would love to hear your beautiful voices right now. We want you to sing happy birthday, which we're familiar with because we got to do that to wash our hands. But we want you to sing happy birthday to this tune right here. And go.
Happy.
Stay muted, stay muted. To the tune. That's it. Okay, enough fun. So, remember I talked about a chicken? There's the chicken. So, educators we're gonna honor our experienced educators. They're gonna be allowed to respond in the chat first. What was the difference between part 1 of your test and part 2? Our educators with 10+ years of experience, we want you to respond first. What do you think the difference was? What did you feel the difference was between part 1? Oh, Carrie, I'm so sorry I caused you stress in this seminar, in this webinar that's about to be about not managing stress. Familiar versus unfamiliar. They're flying in. Greg enjoyed part 2. All right. You froze a little bit, Angela, on part 2. We'll take about 5 more seconds of responses. Part 2 was trickier. You liked part 1, D. Banks. I love it. H. Benedict said that part 2 was new learning. Exactly. We're going to end right there on that point. Interesting and fun. Well, you like the singing, Angela. I like that. All right, so we'll put a pause on the chat. So what was the difference between part 1 and part 2? I didn't mean to cause anyone stress, but maybe I did. So let's talk about just a little bit about the science behind that. So we were working your long-term memory there. Your long-term memory, we may think of it as one whole unit, but it's actually like a bunch of storage units where you can open up the units You can put stuff in there from geometry, from algebra, from math, whatever you want, and you can pick it out whenever you need to. So part one was part of our explicit memory. So if we think about long-term memory in two big storage units, that one big storage unit is your explicit memory. That's the stuff we learn in school. Those are the facts. Those are the figures. Those are and also the events that happen in our life take place, and they're stored in that explicit memory. So that was some of the things we learned in school. So that was the facts 1 through 4. Number 5 are events. We can have an almost vivid memory, I know I do, of where I was when I heard about 9/11. I could see it in my head right now. I can remember my first concert that I went to. So that's where those parts are stored. So even if you didn't get number 4 right, you seeing this image, it may bring back, oh yeah, I do the outside, then I do the inside. So it's in your long-term memory. You just had to leave past a couple of boxes, dust some things off for you to find that. So of course I had someone who taught math help me with number 4, and she gave me not 1, but 2 ways to do it. So that's the first part. The second part, for part 2, we looked at your skills or your habits, the natural responses that you have that don't take a lot of effort. Normally, it doesn't take a lot of effort to sing happy birthday or say the alphabet, right? Normally. But when we ask you to do a same skill, a same habit differently, it takes more brain power. It took a little bit more time and more brain power. I see Jocelyn now, she's nodding her head. Yes, it did, to say the alphabet, to sing happy birthday to the tune of Oh McDonald, like what was going on, or even riding a bike. So what we did was we took that old habit, that one that you normally didn't even think about. We actually switched it. You can go between storage units in your long-term memory. So we moved it to your explicit memory, which for most of you, while it was fun, it also caused not a lot of stress, but it caused maybe a little bit of excitement, a little bit of frustration to try to really write your name. So what we're doing in this webinar is that we are trying to take that old habit, that old way that you do deal with stress, and move it to a place where you gain some new knowledge, and just know that what we are saying here is not revolutionary. It won't be anything new. We're just approaching it from a scientific standpoint. But we want you to know that in order to gain that new habit, it's going to take a little bit of time. So once you leave this webinar on this webinar high, you're so excited to try these new methods to manage stress that it may take to the end of this year for you to really grasp those habits. So it's a difficult process that we don't want you to give up on just because it doesn't work a couple of times. Just know that shifting that to a different part of your memory does take time.
So this is our brain on stress. Anybody a little familiar there? Anybody feeling that stress? I think we're all feeling that stress right now. And as we think about the next slide, take a look. Trisha and I, Trisha mentioned this, that we want to approach this from a little bit of science and a little bit of brain research. And hopefully that won't stress you out too much. But I want you to think about, we want to talk about a couple of different parts of our brain. And right now, what's happening, if you're under stress, your prefrontal cortex and your amygdala are having a little bit of difficulty. So let's just do a quick review. Our prefrontal cortex is the thinking part of our brain. And that thinking part of our brain, it's rational, it's realistic, and it helps us to make good decisions. If we take a look at the next slide, our amygdala tells us to go, run. This is the part of our brain that's the fight or flight. It forgets the details, it just reacts. And so in our brain, what's happening is our amygdala is in charge of a little bit of emotional hijacking right now. If you're under stress, the amygdala is taking over. And so when we have that fight, flight, or freeze mode, the rational part of the brain becomes disabled. It's really hard to think rationally when we're in that freeze mode. And it prevents us from making those sound, rational decisions. but the amygdala also creates anxiety and fear in us. So let's take a look at, I know we probably maybe know this, but it's always good to see it in action. And so in this video that we're going to show you in just a minute, I want you to take a look, Patricia Heaton, who we've all probably know and recognize, on this familiar game show. And she is into this, 3 minutes into this question. When we start playing the video, she's already used one lifeline, and yet she still can't figure out what's going on and how to solve the problem. And so let's take a look and see what are the physical reactions and maybe mentally what's happening to Patricia Heaton in this video as her amygdala takes over. And because there are so many of us in the webinar, it might be good to turn off your video now if you're able to turn off your video. It just might help our streaming bandwidth. If you're not able to turn it off, that's okay. But let's take a look here as Patricia Heaton.
You'll tell me about volume.
Okay.
As long as I don't have to tell you how many nickels it is in...
No, but look, the reality is that you have not given up and you haven't lost yet.
I haven't. We got a beautiful 25,000.
No, sweetheart, we can get 50,000, but you've got to just think about this.
Oh, I can still answer it?
Yes.
Oh!
You didn't say...
We were done! Oh,
You don't lose till you say final answer
no!
if you have the wrong...
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
Wait, hold on. I'm so nervous.
Just say
I
it.
can't
Say it right now.
multiply it. I can't. I got to multiply it first in my head. So a euro's worth $1.50. So 5 euros. 5 times 5 is 25. Carry the 2. 5 times 5, 6, 7. That means 750. So not 50 dimes. It's not 90 pennies. I don't know.
Yeah, no, wait a minute. You know this. 50 dimes is how much?
50 cents. 50 dimes.
50 dimes.
Oh, it's $5.
There you go. 90 pennies. How many pennies make $1?
Okay, so 100.
All right. 70 nickels.
This is the worst question you could have asked me.
70 nickels. How many nickels in $1?
So 7 times 5, that's $3.50.
That leaves
Okay.
30 quarters. How many quarters in $1?
All right, I'll give you my answer. All right, my answer is a 30 quarter.
Sorry, I cut it off too soon, but that was the final answer and she got it right.
Yes, she got it right. She was definitely experiencing the freeze moment. Her amygdala had taken over, and we saw she couldn't think. She was stressed, right? She was physically stressed. So we're curious to know, what does stress feel like to you? And how do you typically react to stress? If you're an educator who lives in the Triangle or the Sandhills or on the coast of North Carolina, if you'll respond in the chat. We want everybody to think about that, but those of you who live in those areas can respond in the chat. What does stress feel like to you?
Wilkins, I eat too. Yes.
Yes, Casey, I feel hungry.
Let me keep putting that egg up every time too. Brain fog, absolutely. Ill-tempered, yes.
Anne says it makes me itchy. Audra, can't think clearly.
Clenches up from Lynn. I clench my teeth. I don't even know it, but my dentist does.
Meg, I'm eating sweets and sodas. Me too. Perry makes my head hurt. Yes, I often get a headache. Right, so a lot of common themes happening here. What happens to us both comes out physiologically as well as in our actions and our emotions. So on the next slide, let's take a look just really quickly at some of the impacts of stress. It definitely accelerates our aging. And we know this, this is a picture of Abraham Lincoln. We see the stress in him. This often occurs, well, there's a number of reasons why this occurs, but a big portion of this accelerated aging is because of our lack of sleep. I don't know about you all, but I had to use some cover up today under my eyes because I'm either my sleep patterns have been disrupted, that I can't get a full night's sleep, or I can't fall asleep. So I'm definitely having difficulty sleeping, even though I'm not necessarily feel like physically like saying that I'm stressed or thinking all the time that I'm stressed. My sleep is definitely telling me that I'm stressed, and that's accelerating my aging. We also have difficulties when we're stressed with our memory. It impacts our memory and the things, even just our quick recall of things. I know Trisha and I were having a meeting earlier, and neither one of us could think of something that was so simple, but we couldn't think of that. We were like, what did we do with this? So, and I'm sure you've had those moments over the past several weeks where you forget something, something that is so simple. Another thing that many of you mentioned, the impact of stress, is that stress impairs our self-control. And I don't know about you all, but I go to the grocery store and I come out with a huge grocery bill and I'm like, why did I buy all that junk? I get home and I'm like, why did I buy all that stuff? Because I'm just going to eat it. But there's a lot of science behind this. And so I think one important thing, if you take nothing else away from this, is just to know that this is actually because of what's happening in your brain. It isn't because you don't have self-control. And so on the next slide, let's take a look at a couple of things that happen to our brain around eating when we're stressed. Under stress, our brain needs up to 12% more energy. Wow, think about that. And our brains have probably been in overdrive right now for 6, 7, 8 weeks. And so we need 12% more energy. So we actually need more. Serotonin also helps to improve our mood and fuels our brain. You know that old saying of that I just need some comfort food when you're feeling stressed or sad? Well, that's actually because you need serotonin and because the serotonin boosts your mood and you're craving that. Carbohydrates provide our body with a quick shot of serotonin. So see, that's why you're wanting those things. You're wanting those heavy carbs or a lot of carbs. It's because of the serotonin. And when you eat them, it actually makes you feel better, or it gives you that little boost in mood, or it fuels your brain to help you do that thinking that you need to do. But oftentimes when we're stressed, we crave simple carbs, which raises our serotonin, but then only temporarily, like cupcakes and jelly. I don't know about you all, but the jelly beans from Easter, like I bought like 10 bags of them and I keep on eating them, right? Which helps me for a minute or two, but after a little while I crash, which isn't a good thing. So we need to look for other ways that we can raise our serotonin levels. One thing, as we were doing the research for this, I just want to mention to you that it is okay to, you need to help with those serotonin levels, but trying to be mindful of how much of those foods you're eating will help you in the long run. But you do need that serotonin. So when somebody says to you, don't eat all that junk, you can say, well, maybe just a little bit. But Trisha later on will talk about other ways to raise your serotonin levels. So I'm curious now to think, I want you to think about either the emotional, the physical impacts that you're experiencing as a result of stress because of COVID-19. If you live in the mountains or the Piedmont of North Carolina, if you'll respond in the chat. What are the emotional or physical? And some of you have mentioned some of these already. But it'd be great to think about, what are those things that happen to you because of stress? Yeah, some of us. Lucas said fatigue and sadness.
See a couple of weight gains within a month. Absolutely.
Darlene is anxious. Allison says that as well. Michelle, yes, a hard time sleeping and clenching. Can't sleep and staying up late. Yes, lethargy. Yeah, apathy is another thing that happens oftentimes when we're stressed. And it's because of the cortisol that's in our brain. All right.
Mad, irritated, and I saw someone share that they felt lost because our routine is completely thrown off, and definitely with feeling feeling lost.
Okay. So I want you to do a quick reflective writing. I want you to think about an interaction where you were upset. And I want you to think about what was the physical reaction that you experienced, and what were you thinking, what were you feeling, and what was the end result. And you can see my example over there in yellow. My body stiffened and I clenched my teeth. I could tell that my heart rate was elevated. I was thinking, I can't believe this. I was getting so angry and frustrated. And in the end, I threw the remote down and I steamed out of the room. So we're going to give you 1 minute. We're going to play a little music, and I want you to just think about, it can be recently or well in the past, but when was the time that you were upset? And just write this down to yourself. You don't need to share it. All right. If you'll just kind of put that to the side, we're going to come back to it in just a few minutes. So we've been talking about what stress can do to you and some of the physical and emotional, psychological effects you're feeling of stress. Let's talk a little bit about how to manage that stress. We don't want to leave you hanging and just feeling bad. Let's get to maybe hopefully some solutions. So as we think about managing our stress, I'm curious, when you hear the word mindfulness, complete this sentence: I think or feel. And if you're an educator who lives outside of North Carolina, or you haven't responded yet in the chat, you can fill in that sentence. When you hear the word mindfulness, I think or feel. Sharon says purpose. Andrew says intentional. Thomas says meditation. Victoria says aware. Relaxation and awareness of others. Being calm. And maybe good intentions. All right. So as we look at the next slide, sometimes this is what we think of when we hear mindfulness. But actually, mindfulness isn't just about Zen or yoga. Mindfulness is the ability to be fully present and aware. It's where we're not overly reactive or overwhelmed by what's going on around us. And so several of you kind of mentioned things that alluded to this as you were thinking about what you think of when you think of mindfulness, right? It's that idea of taking a break and being aware. But so that sounds great, but actually, how do you do that, right? With everything going on around us and with all of the stresses in our life, how can we actually be mindful? So we're going to talk for a couple minutes about how to do that. So the first thing we need to do as we practice mindfulness is acknowledge the feelings that we're having, and not just the emotional feelings, but the first step is just acknowledging the physiological differences or changes in our body. And so acknowledging that maybe our heart rate is elevating, or that our face is getting flushed, or we're beginning to sweat, or our stomach is beginning to not feel good. Those are all the physiological changes that are happening to us that are indicating to our body that, you know what, I'm getting stressed. After we've acknowledged and tapped into those self-awareness cues, we need to name the emotion. So figuring out what it is, what is causing us to become stressed. And sometimes this naming of the emotion is easy. We know we're angry or we know we're sad. Other times it's a little bit harder, but we definitely need to think a little bit about and process through what is the emotion and why am I feeling it. And then it's often good to be able to do this with someone else, to talk with somebody and admit that we're having these either fears or that we're angry about something. And then the last part of mindfulness, practicing mindfulness, is managing. And we have to, once we figured out that we know we're stressed, we understand the emotions that we're feeling, how can we manage those feelings? Distracting versus processing is sometimes a hard thing. And I think we all need to do some distracting, but we also need to come face to face with those emotions. And again, talking to somebody about it and kind of sharing what you're feeling. We may not be able to solve the problem, but sharing helps us to process those feelings. So I want you to go back to your quick writing, and I want you to think about how we could practice mindfulness within our writing and within that situation that you wrote down. And so being mindful might look something like this as we think about that situation. For me, as my body stiffened and I clenched my teeth and my heart rate elevated, I needed to take a deep, slow breath in. As I recognize that I'm upset and having those feelings, I can exhale that breath. As I think about what I'm feeling, I need to take another deep breath. And then I need to exhale that breath before moving forward. By taking those few calm breaths, it helps to slow down that amygdala and actually helps our prefrontal cortex to re-engage. So, we always hear that breathing helps us or counting to 5 helps us, but it really is a great strategy and a real strategy we can use. And so whether those are, you may not feel as comfortable with those deep breaths, but counting to 5, just taking a moment and recognizing what you're feeling, what's happening to your body, and then thinking about it helps that prefrontal cortex to re-engage. So on the next slide, really mindfulness is just practicing the awareness of our body's reaction to stress, labeling or naming those emotions, taking those deep breaths. That's mindfulness. Now you might be saying, you know what, that sounds great, but it sounds like a lot of fluff. But there are definitely scientific benefits to practicing mindfulness. I already mentioned this, but I just want to reiterate that when we take those deep breaths, when we become more aware of what our body's doing and what other people are, what our reactions are to other people, it allows our amygdala to slow down, our prefrontal cortex re-engages, and it helps us with planning and problem solving. It also helps our learning and our memory because the amygdala pushes that hippocampus out of the way when it goes into fight or flight. So it helps our hippocampus, again, with our learning and memory. And it actually decreases the fearful or anxious emotions that we feel when we practice mindfulness. But mindfulness isn't the only strategy for managing our stress. Tricia has some other great ones.
So remember, we talked about in the beginning about adopting a new habit and how we're really switching into the learning mode. We're going back to a place where we're learning it over again and it may feel a little uncomfortable. Well, we do have options for you just in case the mindfulness and the breathing is just not a new one you want to pick up just yet. So let's take a look at some additional strategies. And let me explain this for 1 second, because I realize this might be a cultural reference and an age reference here. I grew up in the 80s under Ronald Reagan. So there was an anti-drug campaign and they always had this is your brain on drugs. So that's where we got this from, just in case you didn't get the whole egg in the pan thing. I realize that it is an age and cultural related thing. So Some other strategies that are really, really helpful in reducing stress. Number one is movement. Now, I said we're not going to focus on students, but there's a teeny focus on some research behind the importance of movement in school and school performance. So it does improve self-esteem. It can reduce stress. And for students, it really does enhance their cognitive functions. But we're not talking about them, we're talking about you. But just know that this can apply to us as well. Moving can help reduce our stress. You may notice this. I always notice it after it happens. I went to the grocery store today because why? It's been a whole day since I've been there, so I had to go there again. But as soon as I got up, I went to the grocery store and I came back, I had a really good thought about something else that I can do to reduce my stress for work. So movement, taking that walk, standing up, stretching, has actually been linked to a better flow of ideas. What you used to do in your former life in March and before March was a lot of movement. You were moving all day long when you were in a school or you were in a district office. But now you may notice if you wear some type of fitness watch that your steps aren't what they used to be, by 5 o'clock, by 3 o'clock. And you may be thinking, I don't have time to exercise. I have to teach and not teach and work, and I may not have time to do that. But that is actually the best thing that you can do for yourself, no matter how much, no matter how little it is. So even small bursts of movement can have really big benefits on your brain health. So we like to practice what we teach here at the Friday Institute. So let's have 27 seconds, not minutes, 27 seconds of movement. I don't care what you do. You can get up, you can stretch, you can roll your head around a little bit, but 27 seconds of movement starts now.
In West Philadelphia, born and raised on the playground is where I spend most of my days. Chilling out, maxing, relaxing, all cool and all, shooting some b-ball outside of the school. When a couple of guys who were up to no good started making trouble in my neighborhood. I got in one little fight and my mom got scared and said, "You're moving with your auntie and uncle in Bel Air."
Okay, that's it, 27 seconds. Just a little refresher. You don't need to work out for an hour if that's just not something that is possible. But if you can, try to get movement in your life at least once every hour, just to get the blood flowing and also to try to reduce the stress level. Another strategy that I picked up from a conference from a behavioral analyst is called changing the channel. Changing the channel. I think she called it switching the channel. So this is a cognitive break. This is, again, if this is possible, this is a stressful situation has presented itself to you. If possible, redirect your mind on something else positive. Let the emotions decrease. And here's the key, you gotta go back. You gotta go back. So once the amygdala has decreased and your prefrontal cortex is able to actually think, you gotta go back to that situation to handle it. So an example is, at the beginning of a session that I did for early college teachers, we allowed them to choose how they wanted to start the session. They could color, they could stretch, they could, finish up some emails, because some of them had traveled 2 to 3 hours to get to the Friday Institute. So knowing that they probably got up at 4 o'clock in the morning and drove can be a little stressful. So we let them choose. Let me just tell you, I've done this opening activity a couple of times, and and Nancy can agree with me on this, have never seen educators more relaxed than when we let them color. I mean, you talk about people who didn't want to actually move on to the session that their district paid them to go to because they wanted to finish their Tinkerbell coloring or their Lion King coloring because they were like, this is so relaxing. So if you are presented with something stressful, think about changing the channel. That could be putting something together, fixing something. I know that I joke around and say there's no coronavirus at the Home Depot because everybody is there. It could be cooking, it could be yard work. maybe not taking a walk. Sometimes you just kind of go with that over and over again, or maybe the walk will help you. So I ask you to share, our beginning educators with years 1 to 3 experience. What do you do to change the channel? What are some ways that you change the channel? You take a walk, Samantha. I love working out too, Lizzie. I love working out in groups, but that's no longer possible. Chad was with the puzzle. Legos, absolutely. Zachary was with cooking. Audiobooks, I have a lot of podcasts I listen to as well.
Wilkins said that she likes making anchor charts for her classroom.
Nice. Pet your cat, absolutely. Try to walk. Yes, we'll take a couple of more. Word searches. So as these are flying by, Mark, you can de-stress here, right here, if you want a house to clean. You can do that here. So as you are looking, so maybe one of your methods, Caribbean house hunting. I love that, Christy, because it's like, you know, getting to the Caribbean just a little bit, watching birds. Angela, thank you for sharing.
Mary Beth's drawing.
Drawing? That's great. So there are ways and other ways. So as they went through the chat, maybe you were also able to pick up some different ways to change the channel for you to decrease the stress that you were having. It's just a quick method. The last thing that we want to share is the power of saying no. I don't want to take credit for this at all. This came from Dr. Brian Harris. He is writing a book and he's wrote a blog about the power of saying no. A couple of points that he has in his blog, and we will share that resource with you, is that number 1, no is a complete sentence. Anything that comes after the no is just your guilty conscience, you know, trying to say, I'm sorry, I can't do it because I have to do this, that. No. He also suggests that maybe giving options, and you say no, and how about this? That doesn't involve you at all, but you know, the saying of the no. So this is a very powerful statement that some of us struggle with, is saying no. I had a lot of stuff on my calendar that I did not say no to, which caused a lot of stress. So get up, move, maybe think of some different options, and just know that no is a complete sentence. So this used to be what you stressed out about. In this webinar, we gave you just a few ways to manage your stress in a different way. Reminder, adopting these new habits takes your brain a while to accept them, whether that's mindfulness, movement, changing the channel, or just simply, but not really so simply, saying no. So knowing that we've done about 4 of these strategies, here's our chicken again. We're going to give mid-career educators a chance to respond. So what's something that you can commit to, a new habit that you can commit to that you learned in our webinar? This is your last chance to share, and we're going with the mid-career. Changing the channel, Lucas, absolutely. Lucas is our only mid-career. Okay, we got a little bit more. More ways to transition to the, I know everyone's always sticks to that last one when they're like, no. More mindfulness, starting to take a morning walk from Sherry. Yes, it could even just be a 5 or 10 minute walk to get your brain going in the morning. And Brianna talked about changing channels, stepping away. Justine is changing the channel. Thank you so much for sharing. Nancy, did you have something?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention a couple people I saw in the last chat said that sometimes it's hard to change the channel when they go on a walk. They find that that their mind keeps running. And so one suggestion maybe I have is finding a good podcast, something that is enjoyable to you, or whether that's about whether it's sports related or something totally different that I wouldn't suggest listening to a podcast about the news or something else that might be stressful. But a podcast works great, or music, depending on what you like. I don't know, Trisha, if you have another suggestion, but I know sometimes that really helps me as I walk, because sometimes as I walk I do kind of constantly think about like an interaction or something that's upsetting me. And so by listening to music or a podcast, it helps me.
Yeah, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but that was a strategy from the behavioral analysts that they said when we tell students when they're upset to go out and get some water and come back. She said for a certain group of students, and she dealt with, students who like to throw death, that type of thing. That did not work because they just kept going and going with the incident in their head. So Nancy's suggestion of walking and is really good to help you switch the channel. So just remember the amount of time that it would take to form these new habits. So by the time there's a vaccine for coronavirus, you could have a new habit, a new way of dealing with stress. So here are the resources that we have. We did this session, I don't know, last week or yesterday, and some of the participants asked for more resources. Well, they didn't get the resources, but you do. So some ones more about mindfulness if you want. The power of saying no. So that is, the first link is the link to the blog. The second one is a link to Dr. Brian Harris's website. And then if you wanted to practice meditation a little bit more, but you weren't really sure what to do, you click on this YouTube video and they take you through a 5-minute meditation. So here we go with the parade of URLs that I like to call it. So Nancy is going to provide you with the links to our upcoming session if you want to come to that, or if you want to go to any of the other Friday Institute webinars that we have. We still have another week and a half of webinars, but our upcoming one focuses on students. So she's going to place that in the chat, and she's not going to do it once, she's not going to do it twice, she's going to keep doing it until you're able to get it. Up next is the most important slide. So this is evaluation and a link to our slides. So if you are looking for a certificate of attendance, you will get that after completing the evaluation. And then she is probably already has posted, yep, there it is, a link to our slides. If you're having a hard time clicking and finding, you're in the full screen of Zoom. If you hit your escape button, you'll be able to see the other windows on your computer, and that one may have already popped up. So if you don't have any other questions, so Lacey, once you complete the evaluation, you will see this. You will be eligible for the certificate, and then you will get it from, we have one person at the Friday Institute that is working on all of these certificates, but I heard he is pretty quick. So a day to a week, you will get it. So we appreciate your time. We're leaving the next 10 minutes. We were fast today, Nancy. We're leaving the next 10 minutes for you to complete that evaluation. So if you have something to do at 2 o'clock, you're still able to complete our evaluation and make that 2 o'clock webinar, whatever
or 4
it happens to be.
Or 4 o'clock webinar.
What time is it?
What day is it?
4 o'clock webinar. Or you could stop, you could just say, you know what, I'm stressed out, I'm taking the rest of the day off. So thank you all for your time and to your attention, and Nancy's gonna drop that link in there for you so you can have it for the evaluation, Sheila. Thank you all. Of course, little exit music for you too. No, it's on my phone.
Yes, and the link to all of those in the resources, you can scroll down through the PDF and you'll have the links to all of those resources we also posted. Have a great Wednesday.
You too.
Think about it. There must be a higher love. Thank you.
I'm having trouble with the link.
Thank you.
Thank you, Edwin.
Thank you both so much.
Thank you. Sarah, did you exit out of Zoom? Or just press your escape? Not exit, sorry. Press your escape.
Okay, I've done that.
I'm having problem to getting into the evaluation as well, and I'm exit out.
Okay. Our easiest solution that we've come up with so far is we could try to troubleshoot with you, or if you email Nancy or myself, we will email you right back with that link.
Okay.
And Carrie says that, Carrie, yes, when Jonathan sends you your certificate, when you fill out the evaluation, Jonathan will send you a certificate as well as a link to the slides. But here is also the link to today's slides. And as somebody said that we're maybe getting issues with the evaluation.
And if you just email us, Barbara, we'll email you right back. We have our email addresses up here.
Mark, I'm not sure what how the audio is so clear. Not sure. I'm not using headphones, it's just the straight from my computer.
And Barbara, it will get lost in there. If you could just email us, then we will email you right back. Yeah, time to take a walk, Carrie. He's got a Mac, Mark.
Kristen, if you can just email me, I will send that right away to your email. Thanks, Karen. Good to see you.
And D Height, the music is coming through my computer. But you have to click a hidden button on Zoom to get it to come through your computer. Yes, it's free, Sheila. But, she always sounds amazing. Well, she doesn't always sound amazing, but yeah.
Oh, Beth, there are 2 sessions Trisha and I are doing. They named them cultural for resilience, but that is the right evaluation. Select the one that says stress. And Amanda, if you could email me, it'll get lost in the chat. So if you can email us, either Trisha or myself, and I'm responding to people's emails now.
D Height, I'm gonna send you a message right now. So when you share your screen.
All right, people are emailing me and I'm sending them.
Oh, I see Renee's little dog, Renee Bailey. She's got a little dog in the back. Yes, it helps with the YouTube video. I learned the hard way. Nancy, could you post the survey again?
Yes. And somebody asked about the chat. So you can, if you want to do a copy of the chat, I think you see 3 little dots there on the right-hand side. You see everyone, the word everyone on the left, and 3 dots on the right.